What is up, everyone? Welcome back to a brand new video on Lex Selectors. Today we are going to do another episode of the transfer show. We've got a lot of transfers to go over. It is actually officially the 1st of July, so it means the transfer window is officially open to a lot more clubs now. So we really should start seeing the mill really starting to spin now. More deals are getting place, and we're getting a lot more rumours as well. We've got a lot to uncover. If you guys like what you see, please give the video a like. It does tremendously help the channel. Please hit the subscribe button if you've not done so. We're nearly at 1,200 subscribers. That would be terrifically appreciated if we can get there. And please also share the channel too. That also helps the growth of this channel. But without any further ado, let's go through the latest transfers and the latest rumours in the Championship. We start off with some breaking news. Birmingham have made a signing. They've actually made a signing, so congratulations to Birmingham. It is Finlay Thorndike from the Aston Villa youth squad to Birmingham. So I feel like he could be one that could have a bit of potential, but obviously in terms of senior football, he's not got a lot of experience there. And Birmingham in general do concern me with the little transfer activity they made. I'm hoping now that this is going to be a catalyst of more transfers going through, because they really need it more than anything if Birmingham definitely want to have a really good season on their hands. Blackburn have let go of Joe Rothwell. He has joined Bournemouth. That was not a surprise to me. He had been linked with Bournemouth in the last couple of transfer shows that they did. It is now confirmed, and Joe Rothwell will be a Premier League player. I'm now just keeping my close eyes if any other of Blackburn's really good attacking squad is going to be going away. Because if Blackburn want to have another really good season in the top half, they're really going to need to try and invest and just keep more of their players that got them into that position. Because Joe Rothwell played a crucial part in their great finish last year. Bristol City let go of Robert Cundy. He's now left Bristol City to join Barnsley. Now he's going back to League One, so working with the likes of Michael Duff and in that Barnsley squad. I think a decent signing. Cundy was, as a player, actually was not heavily featured last year until the second half of the season. You know, around game 37, I believe, when Bristol City beat Blackburn by 1-0. I think it was since that game, Cundy actually had quite a lot of consistent game time in that Bristol City back line, but obviously Bristol City trying to upgrade their back line with the signings they've made, and obviously shipping a couple of players off, and Cundy was one of those players. Now Burnley have officially started making their signings. They've made 3 signings so far. First one that they made was Scott Twine. Very excited about that signing, obviously. Undisclosed fee, but I do think it will be around a 7-figure, transfer fee at least. Another signing they got from a League One club was Luke Mcnally from Oxford. I think that is a pretty decent shout, actually. I didn't actually consider Mcnally being a Championship player, but actually with the position that he's in, he's a little bit more out wide. And I definitely think with how aging the wide players were for Burnley, especially in that left-hand side, I think Mcnally could do a really good job in that position now, a very young player there. But the one they made literally about 10 minutes ago from recording is CJ Egan Riley. Now, he's from the Manchester City youth squad, and did I not say with Vincent Kompany going in, he will attract Man City youth players into this club. And lo and behold, Egan Riley was exactly that. And I definitely think one that's not got too many senior experiences, but in terms of working with that Manchester City youth squad that's been relatively pretty good, I think it could be a decent shout. And honestly, I feel like Kompany's definitely lowering the age of his squad, and he's just going to make sure he balances youth with experience. But I'm pretty sure he knows what he's doing now. I think those are 3 really good statement signings for Burnley there. Cardiff have made another signing. Andy Rina-Motta has left Reading to join Cardiff on a free transfer. It's another departure for Reading, which is a bit of a concern for them. They've barely got over 11 senior players in that squad and contracted to next season. So their squad's a little bit on the thin side at the moment. Reading definitely need to make some signings. But as with Cardiff, great signings. I definitely think statistically he was one of Reading's most reliable midfielders, breaking up the play. So I definitely think that's a good signing for Cardiff. A very Cardiff-like player, I feel. Huddersfield have actually let go of Pippa. He has joined Olympiacos. So Olympiacos have made a couple of signings from championship teams or former championship teams. Obviously, again, Philip Zinckernagel from Nottingham Forest and also Pippa from Huddersfield. Now, Pippa had a difficult start to the season. He wasn't featured because of a groin strain, but then later on, especially like right at the end when Huddersfield having a really good form, Pippa was right in the heart of that in that right back position. So it's a shame that he's managed to leave in that way. I feel like maybe Champions League football was something he couldn't turn down, and had Huddersfield got promoted, maybe Pippa would have more likely stayed. I mean, we don't know. We saw still the likes of Zinckernagel getting promoted, Forest is still going to Olympiacos, so who knows about Olympiacos are making some really, really good moves as well. Now, Hull City have made a couple of signings. I mean, one specifically was Tobias Figueiredo from Nottingham Forest. Definitely a player which I felt his time was starting to tick on for him. He just wasn't getting any game time in that full-back position. Was heavily featured in the Championship in previous years for Forest, but especially when Forest were really soaring up the table, Figueiredo was barely featured. But I think for Hull City, I think he'd be a decent option at least. Don't know if he's going to start again, but if he does, he's definitely got a lot of Championship experience, so I wouldn't hold it against him that he could do a great job there. But I'm also going to talk about the players that let go, and there's two players that stick to mind. George Honeyman has left Hull City to join a Championship rival in Millwall, which I think is very, very interesting. And George Moncur has left Hull to actually drop down 2 leagues to join Leyton Orient. I'm a little bit shocked that Moncur's gone down to Leyton Orient there. Honeyman to Millwall, I think, is a very interesting signing there. They actually have let quite a few midfielders go already, and they've got to be quite careful, Hull City, because they've got a couple of other players linked as well. But I definitely think Figueiredo is an interesting signing for their back line there. I definitely feel another striker wouldn't go amiss for Hull and another midfielder. And I feel like now they'll have a really good squad on their hands. I definitely think if they keep the likes of King Lewis Potter, let's say, I definitely think that squad's got potential next year for Hull City. Millwall have made a couple of signings. As I said, we did talk about the signing of Honeyman, of course. But one other signing that they made was Benik Afobe. Now, obviously, he was featured in Millwall last season, but as a loan. This time, the deal is permanent. And there was a bit of an interesting story with this. Stoke were heavily linking him away to Club Brugge, but then those deals got broken down. I've not looked why, but they broke down. So Millwall took full advantage to get him back, and it looks like they got him permanently this time. So if that's the case, very excited for Afobe, because I definitely think he was decent. Another signing they made on top of that actually was Zian Fleming from the Eredivisie. He's joined Millwall from Fortuna Sittard, which is quite an enjoyable name for me to say. He's apparently an attacking midfielder, and they got him for 2.25 million, which I think is an interesting signing. A 7-figure transfer fee should promise a lot from Fleming there. And to be fair, there is quite a jump, I feel, from Eredivisie and the Championship, especially with the schedule, the amount of games, the intensity, the physicality of it. But we have seen players go from Eredivisie to the Championship do well. Look at Joe Pirro for Swansea last year, doing very, very well in an attacking position. So maybe Fleming could be another one of those examples. Preston have made another goalkeeper signing in Di Cornell. I definitely feel like now they're upgraded 2 goalkeepers. It just looks night and day. They had Iverson and, of course, Ripley as their 2 goalkeepers last year. Now they've got Woodman and Cornell. It just looks so much better. I definitely feel they've now sorted out the goalkeeping positions. It's just now whether they're going to sort out their other positions on the pitch, because they had let go a couple of their younger players, leaving their contracts as well, and a couple of players having their contracts terminated as well. So I definitely feel there's more to be done for Preston, but it's definitely very encouraging that they've already addressed the glaring issue that they weren't going to have a goalkeeper for next season. They've got 2 now, which is more than enough for Preston, so fair play to them there. QPR have now officially let go of Charlie Austin, but he won't go and join a Championship club. I thought I might mention this because he was heavily rumoured. He is instead going to Australia to join Brisbane Roar. So he's definitely gone maybe for a bit of a money grab potentially, but he's still going to get some football there. And Championship fans will probably be a little bit disappointed he's not going to be back in the Championship, sadly, at least for this season. Reading have made a signing. That's right, Reading have made a signing, but it's a goalkeeper. So they already made Joe Lumley. Likewise with Preston, Reading got another goalkeeper in. This time they got Dean Buzanis, who's the goalkeeper from Sutton United. I think that's a decent shout, actually, for a signing. Don't think he's going to start all the time. I personally feel Lumley with the Championship experience will still be the number one goalkeeper. But I think Buzanis is actually a decent backup option. So I've got to say, I already plays Reading, at the moment for how their club is being run. But I definitely think those two signings for their goalkeeping positions, whilst they're probably not the best in quality, I think Buzanis is at least, it's a little bit of a positive one for potential at least. So good job for them. Rotherham have made a couple of signings as well. Jamie McCart has joined Rotherham from St Mirren. He's a centre-back, I think 25 years of age as well. One of the positive centre-backs from the Scottish Premiership last year. But one signing that's made me quite excited actually is Cohen Bramble. You may know that name if you're a Lincoln Town supporter, but if you're a Colchester United supporter, you'll know who he is as well. So Bramble was a Colchester United player for a good number of years ago. Played a really big part in our semi-final win over Exeter in the playoffs. Unfortunately, we didn't go through to the final that season. He's a left wing back, and one thing you'll guarantee with Cohen Bramble is pace. He is very, very quick and really can make things a nightmare for attackers and defenders. So I definitely feel Cohen Bramble a very versatile player, and I really think Rotherham have got a really good potential player on their hands. I don't know if he's going to save Rotherham defensively, let's say. I definitely feel sometimes he can be conflicted. Does he go too attacking or is he too defensive at times? He's still learning his trade, trying to find that balance. But I think that's actually one of the most underrated signings in the window so far. I actually think Cohen Bramble is destined to eventually play Championship football, and I'm just really intrigued to see how he's going to get on, obviously being a former Colchester United player. Sunderland have made a good signing in Daniel Ballard. That, for me, surprised me. I think he was rumoured. I don't know if it was last week or the week before when I talked about it, but Sunderland was one of the kind of wild card teams that were linked with him, and they had a lot of competition, but Sunderland, I've got to give them credit. They did really, really well to beat the competition they had to get his signature. I think he was a hit with Millwall. I think more of a hit with Blackpool. Millwall was a little bit touch and go with his game time, but I think with Sunderland, with the right expectations, I think Ballard will definitely make a lot more appearances, and I'm really, really excited to see how he gets on with this Sunderland team. Swansea have made one signing from Union SG. He's called Matthew Sorinola. I think that's how you say his name. Young player, and I definitely think as a left back, a good amount of potential. Don't know too much about him. I'm not going to pretend that I know a lot about him. One thing I do know is that they've let go of Jan Danda. He's actually leapt across from Wales to Scotland to join Ross County in the Scottish Premiership, which I think is intriguing. I'm also going to briefly talk about the newly promoted teams from the Championship to the Premier League. Bournemouth, a recent signing that they've made, not only Joe Rothwell, they've got Ryan Fredrickson as a right back, which is interesting. Don't think he's the best option they could have had, but Premier League experience, he ticks that box, but whether it's the best quality, I'll hold my judgment for that. And Nottingham Forest, definitely probably the most eye-catching transfer out of the newly promoted club so far, is getting Tyro Awoniyi. I don't know if I said that right, and Forest fans, I do apologise if I didn't say it right. But he is actually from Union Berlin, and he's from a Union Berlin side in the Bundesliga who've done incredibly well, incredibly punching above their weight. And Awoniyi is like a big part of that squad. Their record transfer, I believe, as well, £18.45 million, if I'm right in saying. So he's got a lot of pressure on his hands, but I definitely like the approach that they're going for. I think it's a really exciting signing for Forest. So those are all the confirmed transfers as of now. If I've missed anyone out, I do apologise, and let me know if I have done in the comments down below. But now we're going to quickly go on to the rumours, because there is a handful of rumours to talk about. One of the biggest stories today is on Max Lowe. Olympiacos apparently have made a bid, so I've already talked about Olympiacos getting players from the Championship, and it looks like they've really got that model right now, and I think it helps when you've got an owner that actually owns, a former Championship club as well, so he's going to know the talent in that league as well, so he'll definitely have that financial backing with that. I think it'll be an interesting move, to say the least, but I don't think Sheffield United will be too keen with that. They have got other options there, but when Max Lowe wasn't featured in that final part of the season, that's when their form started to really, really stutter, I feel. So I do feel it will be a big loss if he does go, but I don't think it will be the end of the world. Now, Luton are talking to Derby over Louis Watson. Now, Louis Watson was one of the younger players I didn't see too much of, but he was one of the players that did get featured with Rooney, when we had that young Derby squad, and obviously, we didn't have a lot of signed Derby players at the time. They're going through their own scenario right now with their ownership, which looks like it's nearly there. Maybe in the next 2-3 weeks, maybe another month, we should get Derby fully sold this time, so fingers crossed on that. But at the moment, it looks like they could still let players go. They definitely can't sign players yet, and Louis Watson could be next out the door. Don't know if he'll join Luton's team immediately, but I definitely think will be an interesting prospect if he returns back to the Championship. Huddersfield are linked with David Kasumu. Now, this is a very interesting rumour as well, because Swansea are in this race as well, but apparently Huddersfield are edging slightly clear from Swansea there. Now, this will be a really interesting signing. He's now a free agent because his contract, I believe, has run out in MK Dons. So Huddersfield can really capitalise on that and really get him on a free transfer if they can get him in. So it's rather going to be who's going to be the quickest to get him in. One rumour that I missed out last week, but I'm going to talk more about this week, is on Placheta on Norwich City. It does look like Birmingham have really been eyeing him up, and he should be signing for Birmingham at least by next week. And if he does sign for Birmingham there, I definitely think it'll be a decent transfer. I think for Norwich, he wasn't featured too much, but he was sporadically used, especially in the Prem. Even in the Championship, he had some really good moments there as well. A bit inconsistent for my liking, but he can potentially be a superstar. We've seen Norwich players go to Birmingham and play a little bit. I see Onel Hernandez on loan, last season as an example of that, and potentially Placheta could be their version of that for next season. Now, Watford look like two players have been heavily linked away. Moussa Sissoko looks like he's going to join Nantes in the French league, and Andre Gray is looking like he's going to join Greek side Aris Thessaloniki. I definitely have not said that right, but in short, Sissoko's looking like he's going back to France, and Andre Gray looks like he's going to Greece for his transfers there. Good movement for Watford there, but they've not really invested too many players in so far, and they really got to be honest, because I definitely think the competition in the top half of the Championship is going to be extremely high, and I think transfer business could really be the difference, and Watford have been a bit slow on the uptake so far. Newly promoted Nottingham Forest are linked with Harry Toffolo. That has made things very interesting actually. Obviously, both have played against each other in the playoff final. Toffolo's got 1 year left on his contract, so if Huddersfield want to get a good value of money for him, now could be a good time to spell, especially if they're not potentially going to tie him down to a new deal. I definitely can see Nottingham Forest, wanting to try and get more options in their fullback positions, and could even be anticipating some of their fullbacks leaving. I know Jed Spence is playing in the other side of that, but they've now currently not got him at their disposal anymore, looking like that Spurs are going to get him instead. And potentially they're going to need someone like a Toffolo in for a good backup option, or potentially even a starting option, because I actually think he's that talented. I think he's up there in the top 3 best fullbacks of last season. So definitely deserves to play in the Premier League. It's just interesting to see if he's going to join Nottingham Forest. Fabio Borini to Sunderland. Could it happen? It will actually be very nostalgic if it does. So Borini has actually not ruled out a return to go back to Sunderland. He's a lot older now. He was in Sunderland, I believe, in the period of around 2014 to 2016-17, something around like that. He was a Liverpool player for quite a fair bit, loaned to Sunderland, actually scored quite a fair few goals with this Sunderland side, but then he's been spending the last couple of years in Turkey. That's where he's been playing his football. I would be very excited to see him again, personally, in Sunderland. I don't know if it's going to happen, though, but it would be a very, very nostalgic transfer if he does return to the Black Cats. Now, I already spoke about Jed Spence to Spurs there, so I won't regurgitate too much time on that, but we're just hearing more details that the agreement looks like has been made in the region of 15 million plus add-ons and could be reached by this weekend. So Jed Spence to Spurs looking like it's going to happen in the next couple of days. Spurs' squad is looking very scary. Obviously, they've made the recent signing today of Richarlison. They're really going for it, Spurs. They really want to segment that top 4 and go far in Champions League, I think. Now, a couple of more interesting transfer rumours. Charlie Cresswell is linked to Millwall and could join by next week on loan. I think that'll be a really good signing for Millwall if they can really get that in. That'll be an incredible signing, I felt. Obviously they've lost Daniel Ballard. He's going to Sunderland instead. Maybe their loan centre-back transfer is going to be Cresswell this time. if he's going to be an upgrade, you know, I feel like that's probably Leeds' fans and Millwall fans' opinion on that. But I think definitely a decent player and could play well in the Championship level there. Another rumour, which unsurprisingly is from a Belgian team to join the Belgian manager Vincent Kompany in Burnley. Samuel Bastien from Standard Liège in Belgium apparently will sign a 3-year deal with Burnley. So it looks like that they're probably getting a medical sorted. So this transfer could be confirmed maybe even today, maybe even before this video comes out. So I'm going to be quite quick with this video. I definitely think it'll be interesting to see him compete in the Championship. And final rumour is linking with Leeds again, but this time with Reading. Apparently Reading are linked with Jamie Shackleton. Is he going to kind of be that John Swift replacement? Because I know Shackleton can play up front, but he can drop down at times and be more an attacking midfielder or so. If so, I think that'll be a great signing for Reading. It just shocks me that they're linked with him because Reading have not really been very quick and very decisive in the transfer window so far. So it surprises me they're going that ambitious. But if they get him in, fair play to Reading, that's all I can say. So guys, those are all the latest transfers and rumours discussed. If I've missed anyone, as I said, please let me know in the comments down below. And let me know of your guys' thoughts at the moment. How do you think your club is doing in the transfers so far? And let me know who's doing the best and the worst in the transfer window so far. If you guys like what you see, please give the video a like. It's just tremendously help the channel. Please do hit the subscribe button. It really helps the growth of this channel. And please share this channel too. All of that really helps the growth. But thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are legendary for the end of this video. As always, I'll see you guys soon. Take care, everyone.